Hey, what's up everyone? It's Christian here with Reaper Disc, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Prodigy Discs A2. The A2 is an overstable approach disc coming in at 4204 and being one of the best known Prodigy discs currently in their lineup. The A2 has graced the bags of many Prodigy professional players, coming from, players like Gannon Burr currently, all the way to previous players such as Big Germ Jeremy Colling. Whenever he was on Team Prodigy, he threw the A2 a lot, and it was a staple in his bag, helping him win his US Disc Golf Championships. So, what exactly is the A2 for? Well, realistically, it's for anyone really wanting a good forehand-friendly approach disc or something that they can reliably approach the green on a variety of different holes consistently every single time. Well, that might be what it's for, but how does it do it? How does it fly? Well, let's get into that. When thrown on a hyzer, the A2 just held a very typical hyzer line. It didn't really waver too much, it didn't flip up very much at all, and it didn't really try to fade more than the hyzer angle that it was initially put on. It just had a good uniform hyzer flight for, well, the entire flight. It didn't really waver too much, just a really nice, consistent, smooth hyzer. Now, when thrown flat, it did fly straight for about half the flight, and then it slowly started to get back over onto that hyzer. Once it did, it still had a pretty strong finish at the end. It never really wanted to turn over, and again, it didn't really want to dump at the end. It just had that nice, consistent fade after a really nice straight flight. Now, when thrown on anhyzer, this thing got up on anhyzer angle fairly well, and even though I kind of slightly yanked it, it held that angle for about 2/3 of the flight. Now, then it did start, and because I did kind of yank it a little bit and kept the nose angle down, it never stalled. Instead, it panned back to flat, flew straight for just a little bit, and then had a nice strong finish back at the very end without feeling like it was stalling out. Now, when thrown full power, this thing did have a little bit of a flip up to it. It never quite got all the way over to turnover, but the resistance to high speed turn that this disc has and does really well is going to keep it from doing that. Instead, it did just get up to flat, had a nice straight flight before having a really pushing fade. Now, that is something to note. Whenever I've said this disc, it's fading at the end of the flight, this isn't a dumping fade. This is more of a gliding and pushing fade at the very end here. Now, what that means is that as it's fading back, instead of, just dumping out and getting to the ground really fast, it's continuing to push forward as it goes. So you're still going to be gaining a little bit of distance, and that's in no small part to the little bit of extra glide that you're going to find with the A2 as compared to other approach discs. Now, all wrapped up, I think the A2 is a really user-friendly approach disc, and Prodigy even says so themselves. They made the A1 to be, or the A2, sorry, to be a more user-friendly version of the A1. This is not quite as overstable as the A1 and has a little bit more glide. So, that's kind of where the A2 fits on the spectrum. That means it's a little more user-friendly. It doesn't quite take as big of an arm to get it to fly properly. You're going to get a little added extra distance out of it, and you're going to have that pushing fade instead of dumping fade. All of that means that, this is, again, more user-friendly for folks with slightly slower arms, though it's not going to be flippy or overly glidey. It's still overstable, don't get me wrong. It's just a lot easier to use for the general person. Now, the A2 also feels a little faster in the hand than the 4-speed gives it credit for. It does feel just a touch faster and comes out of the hand a little hot. Now, that dome also on this one kind of made it a little uncomfortable to hold. However, once I started getting used to it, I wasn't really having any issues. It still felt good for forehands, and all in all, it's something that I would recommend to anyone who is looking for that forehand-friendly, nice, overstable approach disc. If you want an A2 for yourself, click the link in the description of this video to head over to reaperdisc.com to get yours there. Follow us on social media at ReaperDisc, that way you can keep up with all of our product restocks, as well as exclusive drops and new releases. Subscribe to the channel here, click the like button on this video if you like it, and if you want to be the first one to know anytime we post anything new, go ahead and ring that notification bell. It doesn't cost you a dime, and it makes sure that you're kept up every time we put out new content. Again, I'm Christian with ReaperDiscs, and I'll see you guys in the next video.